As the January transfer window creaks open and the Premier League landscape begins to shift once more, the sense around English football is unmistakable. This is not a quiet winter. This is a window shaped by pressure, ambition, and timing, and few clubs sit more squarely at the centre of that tension than Tottenham Hotspur. While Arsenal survey their position at the summit, Manchester United navigate controversy on the pitch, and Europe's elite weigh up calculated risks, Spurs find themselves at a crossroads that could define the second half of their season, and it begins, as so many modern football stories do, with uncertainty and opportunity. Tottenham Hotspur are moving, not loudly, not recklessly, but decisively. Behind the scenes, recruitment conversations have sharpened, squad balance is under review, minutes, roles, futures all being reassessed. And in the background, one name continues to surface with growing intensity: Conor Gallagher. According to multiple reports, Tottenham are now leading the race alongside Manchester United to bring the England international back to the Premier League. Gallagher, once a heartbeat of Chelsea's midfield, now finds himself at Atletico Madrid, a club that values intensity, discipline and sacrifice, yet unable to give him what he wants most: consistent football. At 25 years old, Gallagher is no longer a prospect. He is a player entering his prime with a World Cup looming on the horizon. And the reality is simple: he cannot afford to sit. Since joining Atletico Madrid in 2024, Gallagher has made 75 appearances, but this season his influence has waned. The pecking order has shifted, tactical priorities have changed, and while Diego Simeone admires his energy, the minutes are no longer guaranteed. Sources close to the situation suggest Atletico are willing to let Gallagher leave under the right conditions, ideally permanently, possibly on loan but only if wage structures align. It is a deal that hinges not on talent, but on logistics. And Tottenham are watching closely. From Spurs' perspective, Gallagher represents something vital: Premier League proven intensity. A midfielder who presses, runs, covers ground and understands the league's rhythm instinctively. In a squad that has been rebalanced under Thomas Frank, the appeal is obvious. Manchester United remain competitors in this race. They view Gallagher as a possible solution should Kobbie Mainoo depart on loan. But Spurs believe they can offer something United cannot: clarity of role. Gallagher wants football, Spurs can offer it. Yet January business is rarely one-directional, and Tottenham's window is already showing signs of movement in the opposite direction. Brennan Johnson's future, once a cornerstone of Spurs' attacking plans, is now edging towards a conclusion. The Wales international has agreed to join Crystal Palace in a £35 million deal, with a medical scheduled imminently. It marks a significant moment. Johnson arrived at Tottenham with promise and pedigree, signed from Nottingham Forest for a hefty fee, and quickly establishing himself as a contributor. Last season, he finished as Spurs' top goalscorer, scoring 18 times in all competitions, including the decisive strike in a historic Europa League final that ended the club's 17-year wait for silverware. But football moves fast. Managerial change altered priorities, tactical evolution reshaped the front line, and while Johnson remained professional throughout, opportunities became limited. Mohamed Kudus's arrival further crowded the attacking picture, and starts became sporadic. Thomas Frank, consistent in his public stance, refused to be drawn into speculation, but his words told their own story. Johnson trained well, Johnson remained important. But sometimes football decisions are not about form, they're about timing. Crystal Palace moved quickly. Oliver Glasner made his pitch, European football beckoned, and Johnson, after weighing his options, said yes. It is a deal that benefits all sides and frees up space at Tottenham, space that matters. Because while Spurs reshape, the wider Premier League narrative continues to unfold, sometimes in controversy. At Old Trafford, Manchester United escaped a moment that could have rewritten their afternoon. Newcastle United, pushing for an equaliser, appealed furiously for a penalty when Fabian Schär's effort struck the raised arm of Lisandro Martinez inside the box. VAR intervened, reviewed, cleared. The explanation was subtle and contentious. Gary Neville pointed to context. Martinez's arm raised above his head was not judged in isolation. Instead, officials ruled that mutual contact, a physical battle with Malik Thiaw, altered the interpretation. Arms already engaged, movement not deliberate, no penalty. Peter Drury's commentary cut to the heart of it. Mutual contact, competing movements, context over outcome. United survived. Newcastle were left frustrated. Antoine Semenyo has made his choice. And in a January transfer window defined by power, patience and positioning, Tottenham Hotspur have landed the statement decision that could reshape their season. For weeks, the Bournemouth forward had been the most coveted attacking player in English football. A £65 million release clause, active until January 10th, placed him squarely at the centre of a transfer storm involving Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Spurs. Every major club had run the numbers. Every sporting director had asked the same question. Is he worth it? Tottenham didn't just ask the question, they answered it decisively. Despite sustained interest from Manchester City and a late push from Liverpool, Semenyo has opted for North London, informing both Bournemouth and his representatives that Tottenham Hotspur is his preferred destination as the winter window opens. Talks are now progressing rapidly, with Spurs prepared to trigger the release clause and confident of agreeing personal terms on a long-term contract. It is a choice rooted not in glamour, but in opportunity, clarity and conviction. For Tottenham, it represents a pivotal moment under Thomas Frank. For Semenyo, it is a calculated leap into the heart of a rebuilding project that needs exactly what he offers. Antoine Semenyo is not a prospect. He is not a gamble. He is, as one recruitment source described him, oven ready. At 25, he is entering his prime years, armed with Premier League pedigree and elite-level physical tools. 8 goals and 3 assists in 17 league appearances this season only scratch the surface of his impact. Semenyo has been Bournemouth's attacking engine, their outlet, their disruptor, their constant threat, even as results have dipped and the cherries slid down the table. Two-footed, explosive, direct and brutally efficient in transition, Semenyo has been among the league's most productive attackers from open play. Only Erling Haaland has more goal involvements than him among players linked with a January move, and Semenyo's underlying metrics place him ahead of the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Jared Bowen and Jean-Philippe Mateta in terms of chance conversion from non-set-piece situations. This is not streaky form, it is repeatable output. Off the ball, his work rate has drawn widespread praise. According to Opta data, no forward in the Premier League has made more recoveries or tracked back more frequently this season. That combination end product plus defensive contribution made him irresistible to elite clubs. But Spurs crucially offered something the others did not. Manchester City could offer trophies. Liverpool could offer legacy. Chelsea could offer money. Manchester United could offer scale. Tottenham offered certainty. Semenyo's decision was influenced by 3 core factors: guaranteed minutes, tactical fit, and a defined role within a growing project. At City, minutes would have been rationed. Pep Guardiola's squad is stacked with attacking options, and while Semenyo's quality was never in doubt, he would have entered a rotation system alongside Jeremy Doku, Savinho, Phil Foden and Ryan Cherki, all competing for limited wide roles in a system that increasingly asks wingers to tuck inside and sacrifice directness for control. At Tottenham, the picture is clearer. Thomas Frank has made no secret of his desire to add a dominant, physically imposing forward capable of carrying goal responsibility. Since Harry Kane's departure in 2023, Spurs have searched unsuccessfully for a reliable attacking focal point. Dominic Solanke has struggled with injuries and rhythm. Randall Kolo Muani has yet to fully adapt. Richarlison remains inconsistent and has been linked with a potential exit. Spurs score goals in bursts, not with certainty. Triggering a £65 million release clause in January is not a casual decision. It is a declaration. Tottenham already spent heavily in the summer, committing close to £180 million on players such as Mathys Tel, Xavi Simons, Mohamed Kudus and Kolo Muani. But despite that outlay, a glaring issue remained unresolved: goals Spurs did not sign a forward capable of consistently winning matches on his own. That omission has cost them points. Semenyo is designed to correct that error. His arrival would give Spurs a forward who thrives without domination of possession, who can score in broken games, who relishes contact, and who does not need multiple chances to punish opponents. In a league where fine margins decide outcomes, that profile is gold dust. Internally, Spurs view this deal as transformative not just for the second half of the season, but for the project beyond it. Semenyo's imminent arrival will have consequences. Bournemouth, braced for his exit, have already begun accelerating their replacement search. Sky Sports News understands they have discussed Brennan Johnson as a potential option, with Crystal Palace also expressing interest in the Spurs winger.